The Orlando Magic expect to be one of the best defenses in the league once again. But how do you top last year, and how do you do it again? Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is October 17th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic tried to build back their dominant defense and be even better. We'll talk about the progress and the thoughts that they have about their defense coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for. Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. The Orlando Magic know what the most important attribute of their team is. They know where they're going to find their success. They know what they have to do to get to where they want to go, whether that's winning in the first round, whether that's advancing to the next round, whether that's home court advantage. They know what this team is about. We could talk about this team's weaknesses. We could talk about what this team doesn't have. But at the end of the day, what gets them where they want to go is what they do have. And what the Orlando Magic have is one of the best defenses in the entire league. A defense that finished third in defensive rating last year. A defense that was, by the end of the playoffs, still the top-ranked defense, giving up only 1 point per possession in their 7-game series with the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a team that knows their strength is on the defensive end and is bought in on the defensive end. But here's the thing. This is a message that Steve Clifford gave every single year that he was in Orlando. You can't just count on it to be there again. It's something you've got to build and rebuild. Nothing just rolls over from year to year. And frankly, this is the thing I want the Magic to prove most this season, is that they can be consistent. That they have something that will last. And if there are questions about this team, it's because, yeah, anyone can have a good season. And the Magic had a really good season. But the Magic are a team that teeters. They won despite a bad offense because their defense was so good. And so now the question is, can they copy that defensive effort? Can they bring that same defensive attention and intensity for 82 games again and get themselves to the next round? Get themselves to, again, where they want to go. We don't know the answer to those questions, by the way, because as I've noted in the preseason game recaps, it sure feels like the Magic aren't dialed up to 11 in those preseason games. But you talk to the players, you listen to the players, they all believe their defense is not only as good as it was last year, they believe it will be even better. And that's obviously a huge ask. As Gary Harris said when we talked to him on Wednesday, there's not a whole lot more room for them to climb if they're already third in the East or third in the league. But they believe they can be that good. They believe they can take another leap, another step. They believe this defense can be elite. And it's not just because they have elite level defenders in Jalen Suggs, Tavius Caldwell-Pope, and Jonathan Isaac. It's not just because they have other really strong defenders like Franz Wagner and Anthony Black. It's not just because they have guys who aren't known as good defenders, but are committed to doing what they can on that end in Paolo Banchero, and even a guy like Cole Anthony, who not a great defender, but tries his butt off. He's going to make up for whatever he lacks in effort. This Magic team has an identity based on its defense, based on that length, based on that versatility, based on their ability to switch and do whatever they want to do. This is a Magic team that can take that next leap because of their commitment. Of course, that alone isn't enough. You can drill it, you can do all these things, but you got to go out there and play. And obviously, the regular season's going to be different. The Magic are going to have to prove themselves every single night defensively. The good news is they do have that base. They do have that experience from last year. They know what this defense is supposed to be like. They know what the principles are and what the rules are that they have to follow to be successful. They know all of this stuff. So how do you make sure it's there again? You can't just count on it. You can't take it for granted. Frankly, I think that's the biggest message that's been said throughout camp is that, yes, there's a lot of confidence in what this defense can do. They know it's their identity, but it's not something you can skip steps on. It's not something you can take for granted. It's something that you will have to continually work at and continue to work on to build to be the team that you want to be. That's what this training camp is. And look, they've had some intense camp. They've had some intense practices. Jalen Suggs is supposedly picking up guys full court. There is definitely an intensity that is happening in practice that we're not seeing in the granted 2 preseason games we have. We got another one coming up Friday. We'll preview that tomorrow. There is still a lot to build and a lot to work on. But, and this is the important thing, but the Magic have to go out and prove it over and over and over again. And again, that's the theme of this season. As much as we want to talk about home court advantage and talk about this team taking tangible steps forward, this season is as much about proving that last season wasn't a fluke, that they can copy those results year over year, that they are guaranteed to be one of the top defenses in the league every single year. To frankly find out if there's a limit to what their defense can bail their offense out. One of the interesting things, one of the key things to talk about coming out of this camp is that the Magic do have a lot of confidence in their offense. The Magic do believe their offense is going to take another step. Franz Wagner said it the other day that he thinks the offense is further ahead now than it was last year. The stats would suggest otherwise. The eye test would also suggest otherwise, but we'll see. And they think it's because it has to go up against this defense that it's gotten better, that it's found ways to poke holes in the defense even so that the defense can get better. That's always the hope, right? You don't really know how you're doing when you're going up against yourself. That's why these preseason games do have even just a little bit of value, just to see where you're at against someone that doesn't really know what's coming. But at the end of the day, if the Magic are going to be successful this year, if the Magic are going to be the team that they can imagine they can be, their defense has to be elite. They're third in the league in defensive rating last year. It has to be at least the same. It has to be elite. That is their identity. And rebuilding that and preparing for that for the start of this season is undoubtedly one of the biggest challenges. One of the biggest things that they have to get right. And because this team hasn't done it year over year, well, yes, they went from a very good defense at the end of the 2022 to 2023 season to an elite defense in 2024. Now we got to see them bring it every single night and then every single year. The same way over and over and over again. You got to enjoy the boring. Like, this stuff should be boring. But that doesn't mean it's not important. And while I think everyone is betting on the Magic being a very good defensive team, they have to rebuild it from scratch. They have been rebuilding it from scratch over the course of the last few weeks. And obviously now we got 1 week to go. 1 week to go before we see this thing in action fully and finally. And we will have to see just how it all ultimately works out. Of course, a big part of that defense is Jonathan Isaac, how he's feeling, how the weight's helping him, and all that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, do live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. With FanDuel, you can get bets on anything. They got their NBA offers up already too. The Magic are over under 47.5 wins. Their odds to win the Southeast Division have moved a little bit. They're now, I'm going to pull it up because it's a different number. They're now minus 155 to win the Southeast Division. So those odds have moved more in the Magic's favor. They are currently plus 1,800 to win the Eastern Conference as well. You want to get a jump start on next week's game against the Miami Heat. The Magic are still 1-point underdogs against the Miami Heat, favored to win the Southeast Division, but 1-point underdogs on the road against the Miami Heat next Wednesday. And they do have preseason odds if you want to be a sicko and do that. I don't know why. I'll tell you what the odds are for the Magic's game on Friday when those numbers come out tomorrow, but they're there. You can do it. And no matter how you want to do it, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Again, that's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's over at FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. There's a lot of moving pieces to this defense. We know that they love their length, they love their pressure, they love the intensity, they close down the paint, they close down those passing lanes, they force a lot of turnovers. We know who this defense is. And the one player, Jalen Suggs is obviously an elite defensive player. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is an elite defensive player. Those two are big. We talked a little about them yesterday. Jonathan Isaac is a player that can take the Magic's defense to the stratosphere. And this is a big year for Jonathan Isaac. Yes, he got his new contract. Yes, he got some security. Yes, there are injury protections in said contract. But Jonathan Isaac is still this great unknown. For being one of the longest tenured player on the team, he is still this great unknown because of the years of injuries that he had to fight through and get through. We still don't have a 100% clear picture of what to expect from Jonathan Isaac. He says that he's all clear to go, that he shouldn't play without restrictions. He sat out Wednesday's preseason game along with the other veterans. Maybe that's something, maybe that's not. But we know the impact he can have defensively. It's probably the photo that I'm going to use for the thumbnail on this video, that crazy block he had against the Pelicans. Everybody knows what Jonathan Isaac can do defensively. Jonathan Isaac knows what Jonathan Isaac can do defensively. He knows how powerful he is. And now the question is, how does his game grow and expand? How does his game continue to get better? And obviously, a lot of that starts with availability. They just need him to be on the floor. They need him to contribute in that way. They just need him to be able to play games. Sometimes this isn't difficult. You're better, you're more valuable to your team when you play. Your best ability is availability. That's not nothing. But Jonathan Isaac obviously is entering this year a little different. A lot has been made, and Isaac made a lot of it too, of his weight gain, going from a listed 219 pounds to a listed 240, and Isaac a stated 250. Putting on all that weight in Isaac's estimation was there to make him more solid. But obviously that requires that you learn how to play a little differently because you're carrying a little bit more weight. He said it's helped him feel more solid. That's really what he said, is that he believes the weight's going to help him take some of the banging, take some of the physicality of the season and be stronger and be able to withstand it so that he can be healthy. But more than that, Isaac's transformation is really about what he gives this team offensively. Jonathan Isaac has not had the time in his career, at least since 2020, to work on his game. He's always had to rehab something. And frankly, putting on weight, putting on muscle is a way for him to make up some of that ground. It's a sign that he is healthy because he's not having to worry about one thing or another. He's been able to kind of bulk up a little bit. Isaac, and maybe that, some people think, oh, maybe that'll hurt the injury because it's knees and it's more, more weight landing on his knees and all that. Maybe that's right. But here's the thing. Jonathan Isaac hasn't had the time to improve his offensive game in 4 years. Last year, he averaged 6.8 points per game, shot 37.5% from three, 51% from floor on just 4.9 attempts per game. Literally half of what he was shooting in 2020, the last time he had a fully healthy summer. The hope, it seems, with Isaac, what Isaac believes is that now with the summer, with this opportunity, he will have the ability to make threes more consistently. He will be able to be more aggressive and attack and be able to take those hits. He'll be able to play the five a little bit more, an area that he still admits he's uncomfortable, but told us that the Magic used him in scrimmages at the five. We will see lineups with Isaac at the five this year. It's going to happen. It's a matter of if. It's a matter of when, not if. But Isaac understands, as well as anyone else, that everything starts with his defense. That's the theme of this episode, is everything starts with the defense. And Isaac put on that weight, changed his body, made things work so that he would be ready for an extended period this season, to play more this season. I believe he's going to be the team's sixth man. Most guys think the sixth man is like your leading scorer off the bench. Isaac's kind of the team's identity off the bench. A guy who's just a game-changing defensive player who can hit an occasional shot, hopefully hit more shots, but he's there to be a lockdown defender. There's a reason why everybody's defensive numbers are better when Isaac's on the floor. He is that kind of a defender that could switch out and stop a guard, come down in the paint and block a shot. And do it both on the same possession, to be perfectly honest. He is just an insane defender. But like so much, everything's different now. He's got, now he's gone through a season relatively healthy. And now the trick is be more healthy. Do it more, do it better, do it all those things. The Magic are looking for more from Isaac. As they should, by the way, because Isaac can give them a whole lot more. And while he's still figuring out what he has and what he can do and how he can contribute to this team, at the end of the day, it all comes back to that basic thing. He's an excellent defender, an elite defender. And if a little bit more weight makes him withstand the pressure, withstand the physicality of a full NBA season, then it will be worth it. Of course, like so much with this Magic team, I wish I could come here and give you like some observation and say, this is proof. We know we're ready for the regular season. The nature of how this preseason has gone, everything's happened behind closed doors. I have no clue. No more clue other than vibes, being in the building and feeling vibes, of telling you where this team is at. Because the preseason games have been encouraging, but very clearly not the whole picture. Friday will help a lot. I will come back on here Friday night after the game and tell you what I think and tell you what I saw. But everything has to get rebuilt. Everything has to be redone and reestablished. And that includes Jonathan Isaac right now. I'm very high on him. I think everybody in this organization is very high on him. But it's all different. And I think that is a really important thing to remember as we prepare for the season. The Magic have been doing a lot in practice. We'll talk a little bit about what they're saying about their practice and how Franz Wagner became a hero to everybody. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you the boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. And if prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's Hims, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices vary based on product and subscription plan. Orlando Magic practice was cut short on Thursday, or on Wednesday. Sorry, hopefully not Thursday. Maybe I actually do hope that on Thursday because I got to get to UCF for media day. But Orlando Magic practice was cut short on Wednesday because Franz Wagner hit a half-court shot. It was a celebratory moment. The Magic posted the video using what looked like second spectrum cams. Expect better from you, Houston. But the Magic deserve a little time off. I don't think Jamal Mosley would have made the offer. Essentially, they did some film review of their scrimmaging on Tuesday. Jamal Mosley called everyone back into the gym, handed the ball to Franz Wagner and said, if you hit this half-court shot, y'all can go home, use the afternoon as you want after they finish their autograph table sessions. Franz Wagner promptly stepped up and hit the shot. The Magic I think the Magic do something like this at least once every training camp. Not abnormal. They've been cooped up in their own gym for the last week. They practiced. They flew back from San Antonio Friday, practiced Saturday. I believe they took off Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, intense practice Tuesday, intense practice Saturday with scrimmages. Wednesday, they deserved a little time off. And everybody was happy to get it. It's not anything to be alarmed about. But that's the point I want to make. That's the way I want to kind of close this before we really start getting into game action tomorrow. The Magic have been working intensely over the last few weeks. As Gary Harris put it today, Jamal Mosley's had to kind of claw back their competitiveness. They've gotten chippy with each other. Nothing like offensive, nothing that's causing a rift in the team. But these guys are competitive. They want to get after each other. They fight hard. They want to win. And that's something Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has said about this group that's really impressed him is they really want to win. And so it's not surprising to hear stories that, yeah, maybe guys have gotten a little chippy at times, that they're really getting after it, that these scrimmage-heavy practices especially are super competitive. This is a team that wants to win. And so it's Jamal Mosley's responsibility to rein them in, to make sure that they're ready and preserved for the things that matter, for the games that matter. And we're getting to the point where, yes, games are going to start to matter more. They've gone through these practices. They've had this opportunity. Friday's game is Friday's game. They'll get what they can get out of it. No Paul George, no Joel Embiid. But Wednesday's the real deal. And obviously everyone's kind of gearing up and trying to be ready for that game. But in the meantime, they haven't been able to get any of that tension out. They had to sit in San Antonio an extra day and miss out on Friday's preseason game. As much as these guys hate these preseason games, they want the regular season to start. You can sense how much they want the regular season to start. They need these games. It's just a chance to go out and compete against someone else, to test some things out against another opponent. They do matter, even if they're not like the be-all, end-all of everything. These guys need a game, and they desperately need that game Friday. We'll talk more about what to expect and what we hope to see Friday, tomorrow. This has been an intense training camp, though. The vibes that I have gotten from training camp, the vibes that I felt from the training center and from being in practice is this is a group that is really competitive, that's practicing very hard, that's getting after each other. It's a group that I think feels very, very confident in what they're doing and what they're building. And they're not showing it all to us quite yet. But I definitely get the sense that they believe they are on the right track. They know, at least to some extent, what it's supposed to feel like. And I think they feel like they're at a very good place. Now, obviously, like, we won't know until Wednesday. Wednesday will tell us a lot. Win or lose, result may not matter so much, but Wednesday's going to tell us a lot. Friday is going to tell us a lot. We want to see the team continue to reduce those turnovers and continue to look a little bit better. That's been my thing. Look better every preseason game. They look better Wednesday than they did Monday last week. I would expect them, after a week off, to look really good Friday, especially with the guys that Philadelphia's probably going to have down. That needs to be their time to really take over. But these guys deserve some slack too. We all deserve some slack. We all work hard. We all look forward to the big event. And Wednesday, I think, was a good reminder to take that step back, to take that breath. And, they earned it. It wasn't just because Franz hit that half-court shot. Mosley felt like they earned it, clearly, to give them that opportunity to get the day off. They'll be back to work Thursday. They're actually going to practice inside the Kia Center on Thursday, which is pretty exciting. They'll get back to work Thursday. They got a game Friday. They got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday practices before the season. There's a lot of time to get ready for this thing. And guess what? Even after the Magic canceled practice, there are guys doing shooting drills like they normally would after practice. We didn't even know about the Franz shot until Jonathan Isaac talked about it. Like, frankly, it felt completely normal that they just ended practice early. So this Magic team feels very ready. Maybe not completely ready. They still got work to do, but if you're asking me what the vibes are inside the Advent Health Training Center, I'm not worried about defense. I think defense is going to be elite. I think the offense will be a little bit better. We've seen that Paolo looks really, really good. I think this team is going to have a very nice season. And I think it will start and it will look good starting with this game on Friday and, of course, next Wednesday in Miami. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of my sound podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to Locked On Magic, be sure to check out the Locked On NBA season previews on Locked On NBA. From the East and West contenders to the potential tanking teams, this 6-episode series has everything you need to know about the NBA season. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also check out the Magic's episode that I participated in a couple episodes back on our feed. Check it out today. Locked On NBA on YouTube, or check it out with Locked On Magic as well. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Like I said, on tomorrow's episode, we'll talk about what we want to see from the Magic's final preseason game of the season before things start to get real. We'll tackle that tomorrow on Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.